about the supporters. We have had a good number of them saying, if person X does not clinch that seat, then I'd rather not even be in this life.
Yes.
And matters to do with sports, politics, church, these are things that are so much into people's hearts. And we are also seeing that even in this election period. So then how do supporters deal with the loss that my candidate, my person has not won that MP seat, has not won that presidential seat, but life has to continue? Because again, at the end of the day, there can only be one winner.
Absolutely.
All of us can't really be in the presidency.
In the same seat,
we
yeah.
can't.
Yes.
So how do supporters even manage this as they move forward?
It's a very interesting scenario to be at. Why? Because when we have supporters, and I'm happy that you have brought up that element of the sports. Yeah. We are quite into the English Premier League, and especially in this part of Africa. And many are supporting this particular team, like for me to be Liverpool. So we were really, given a beating yesterday night. And what happens is you find that most of the people, they really have this at heart. And the reason why you find that we have invested a lot of emotions into, say, politics and all that, sports, talk about the church, it's because we are all trying to seek some identity, all right? And when I identify myself with a certain party, then there's that sense of belonging. Because remember, we all have a need to belong, all right? And if you can't attach yourself to a certain group, and no wonder you find that you also have Liverpool Fans Football Club, in Kenya. Talk about the other, clubs that you're talking about. Because when you go there, they give you a sense of identity and you feel like you belong in a certain group. And this, in a way, amplifies your emotions in terms of making you feel good, right? And it can be addictive, to be part and parcel of such groups and organizations. Remember, even for the leaders, when they're on those podiums, as we celebrate them, as we call out their names, it's very addictive for them. And every other day they long for that medicine. They long for that sip, where we are calling out their names, celebrating them, and so on and so like. The same case applies to this particular follower. Every time they go for those campaign rallies and all that, they're there chanting the names, and for them, they feel that this is where I belong. And this is where we need to ask ourselves, have we found meaning in life, or is our life actually dictated by what is happening around? If Liverpool loses, then I can't be productive the following day. If my party leader doesn't clinch that top seat, then I cease to exist. And that tells you that is a very dangerous space to be at. Why? Because we need to learn to detach, all right? As much as we belong to a certain political party, and I'm not saying that it is bad, to support a certain party, because this is where we have visions, we have ideologies and all that. But it's always very important for you to actually detach from that. Get to differentiate yourself from the party. Get to differentiate yourself to too much religiosity. Why? Because you found that when you are so much into religion, into the practice, when you are so much into that footballing club, when you're so much into that political party, then you forget who you are. All right? And this is where we need to go back into that self-awareness. Get to understand, who am I? What is my purpose in this life? Is it that I can't be without my political leader? Remember, even with those packets of unga that we were getting, that happened, say, once every other week for 2 weeks. Okay? And when they get that position, they will never bring, or rather put, a meal on the table. You have to go back to your life. Why? Because even if the announcements were made today, even if we have a new president today being sworn in, life has to continue beyond that.
Whether it's one whom you supported
or the other, okay? Because if we don't do that, then it would be a long order for them, and a tall order for us, and especially for these followers. And remember, the mob psychology plays a very big part here. Why? Because remember, we want to participate and belong to a certain group. So even our way of thinking is actually interfered with, and we are actually compromised in terms of how we make decisions. And this is why we are saying that it is very important for us to detach. And I'm happy, and especially with the families where you find that they're actually even supporting different parties, and they have no issue with that. Why? Because for them, it's an idea, it's a vision, information that is being shared by the leader. And when all that is said and done, we go back to our lives. And it's very important for us to also get to check where we are, you know, as we talk about the loss and grief, and especially the stages that we are talking about. It's good even the followers to ask themselves, where am I? Am I at the denial, shock and denial? Am I still angry? Am I still bargaining? Am I depressed? Or have I accepted, you know, the outcome of these results? If this is not the case, then we need to come up with, you know, creative ways to maneuver and overcome some of these challenges. And remember, we don't go in a linear line. It's not linear in terms of getting all the way from the shock and denial to the acceptance. At times you may find yourself still, you have gotten into the acceptance, but when there's a trigger, you find yourself becoming angry, and especially to where you are, okay? That happens, and it is allowed, but the question is, are you able to move beyond that? Yes.